students to give up media, any media, for a weekend. Then we reduced it just for one day because students said, no, we cannot do that. We cannot. No, absolutely not. Even half a day was a daunting task for students to give up media. So, and that brought us to the idea that how, not dependent we are on the media, but how media have become an integral part of our lives. So we wake up in the morning and the first thing probably we could do is either to listen to the news, but it's just usually not the radio anymore, right? So somehow we get it via internet, our smartphones. So while driving, we could listen to the radio or just put our iPod and listen to either a program or our favorite song or something that we downloaded the night before. So my co-author and I decided, so probably not only we are interested in the media in our everyday life and perhaps to some degree dependent, but it's an exciting area of research. Because you know, you are in 003, right? So basically, you are writing papers, and right now you're writing probably blogs and websites, right? That's your final paper. So and also we decided to guide our students about writing a paper that is based on media. And first of all, we'll start with the definition, for instance, what media are. And you can see that most people, when they think about media, think about mass media, basically radio, television, the internet, because it's basically a person to mass, sort of mass communication. But also media could be small media. For instance, any signaling device is a media. Just by whistling, it's sort of that type of medium. So we can send messages. But most interesting for us right now, of course, is what we think about is mass media and how mass media influence or do not influence our daily lives. For instance, right now there's a debate going on whether we're so dependent on the media and then it changes the way we think, it changes the way we write, changes the way we actually communicate. And it's a debate because actually, and if we think that it is a new debate, we should go back to Socrates. Socrates actually was afraid when writing was, you know, to write up speeches, to write up stories. He believed that people would lose memory, that our memory would become so weak because everything would be written. Then when the typewriter was invented, everybody, including philosopher Nietzsche, were really scared of this technology because then our prose will become choppy. We would not be really sort of a very elaborate and sophisticated writers. Okay, then before that, in the 15th century, when Gutenberg press was invented, a lot of scholars were thinking that by the invention of the printing press, we'll devalue writing. So our writing will become choppy, our writing will become less considerate. Does it sound familiar? Right? Pretty much now everybody thinks with Twitter, with the internet basically permeating every aspect of our lives, that our writing and thinking is choppy. And that's a good idea to research. Previous ideas that the invention of writing, the invention of the printing press, the invention of the basic typewriter would change the way we think, change the way we write. It was sort of a later just discarded as the idea, perhaps it was too much of a technological determinism, that perhaps media do influence the way we write, do influence the way that maybe we think of something, but really that much. So that's a good idea. That's why we decided to write this book, to explore how our students can actually approach this topic, how they can locate reliable sources, how they can use web both for doing primary research, so collecting data, but also using the internet for finding reliable sources, finding references. Right now, for instance, during the introduction was mentioned that I'm interested in the life and work of Ira Aldrich. And he primarily performed in Great Britain and throughout Europe and my home, and my native country, Ukraine. So to do this research, it would have required a lot of traveling. I do some, but not often. For instance, I can log on the library in Great Britain or Museum of Albert and Victoria and get his wedding certificate online because it's been digitized. So research, also new media help us to do research in ways that, you know, basically cut our traveling and time to, you know, spend traveling, rather than we can just download the document and observe, but just basically review it without major travel arrangements. But what we can see also is media convergence. What is interesting for you as students to observe that if before, for instance, we have analogs, now everything is digital. By digitizing media, it has created this interesting media convergence that basically before, I think when iPod was invented, nobody thought that you could actually watch any video clips there, just listen to the music. So everything was pretty much sort of one particular aspect of particular activity. For instance, listening, watching, TV for watching programs, radios for listening, but now it's all converged. Now all we need, do we need actually to have a TV set to watch our favorite TV programs? No. We can download, we can upload any program we want, or actually want to watch simultaneous cast. For instance, if you are away from Howard and you would like to listen to our president speak, we can just log on and see, and just no problem, without any interruption, interference from our, for instance, let's say travel plans that prevent us from being there in person. And you can see how actually even programs change. Now some of you are interested in, we already started thinking about graduate school or something else. So you could see how a lot of programs right now are expanding, including media. For instance, they include media is either subtopic or topic that they explore. Before, rhetoric, for instance, was only focused on oral presentation, but now it's also, for instance, political debates that are streaming online, that you can watch political debates. So media are interesting topics of research, so we can do a lot, you can write a lot about that, and in different ways. You can either write a blog, you can write a paper, typical usual paper, or you can do a website. So it's also our opportunities as writers are expanding. We always have to think about our audience, but that's another probably topic to discuss. So with that in mind, so my co-author and I wrote this book, and it was interesting to write because right now, a year later, it's almost sort of out of date. Because we didn't include much about iPad and how iPad is actually revolutionizing education. So how a lot of students use iPads as educational tools. So again, why media are interesting is because they are so, not transient, but they are developing so fast. It's very even difficult to write and publish something about the media, because by the time you finish your final draft, it's already outdated. So, but a short paper, I think, or any research would be very interesting to do. And media can influence us in small and large ways. For instance, but what is important in democracy is that citizen participation in decision making of the country. Right now, I think that with small devices, we can make a difference. And now we observe that in various countries of the world, not only in the United States, but also small things. For instance, Katie Couric, when the first time she underwent colonoscopy online, actually on the show, it actually increased number of people who were screening for colon cancer. So from large changes such as political changes to smaller changes such as health screening, media do influence our behavior, but perhaps we have to see how they influence, and perhaps we should be cautious saying that media changes or change everything. So it would be an interesting debate, an interesting talk. So that's pretty much. I'd like to yield.
Questions.